Austin Andrews here with your Beacon. Today we're taking a look at Trump's pick for Attorney General being under attack. President-elect Trump has put out a huge number of selections for his cabinet so far, and some have been very surprising while others have been very normal and expected. None have been as controversial as Trump's pick for Attorney General, that being a congressman from Florida with a reputation for being a little difficult to get along with. He at times has not been the best of all team players, and so even among Republicans, he can be an edgy pick. Of course, we are talking about Matt Gaetz. Now, part of being a Trump backer the last many years has meant that Gaetz has spent time being investigated in moments that aren't all that dissimilar to Donald Trump himself. The first major investigation was with the Justice Department, starting under Donald Trump's Attorney General Barr, with that investigation wrapping up under Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland. The Department of Justice under Merrick Garland declined to file criminal accusations of any kind against Gaetz, this being the same Department of Justice that had filed suits against Trump and Trump allies for all sorts of dubious cases. It is reasonable to then assume that even a precarious but possible case would likely have been brought against Matt Gaetz if it could have been, but it was not. When the Department of Justice dropped their criminal investigation, the House Ethics Committee reopened an investigation on Gaetz. This is an internal committee that helps investigate and outline reports about congressional members who are behaving below their prestigious stature as representatives of the people of the United States. This ethics committee was scheduled to vote to release the details of their investigation on Gaetz just days after Gaetz was proposed by Trump to become the next Attorney General. Gaetz, in response to that announcement by President Trump, did something that many found odd. Gaetz resigned from Congress immediately. Now, normally a representative that's being recommended for a cabinet position will wait to see if the Senate confirms them before leaving Congress. But Gaetz left immediately. He stated this was to allow special elections as soon as possible and to give Republicans a chance to fill the seat quickly and not be missing a key vote in the House, as it is a tight majority that the Republicans will have. But others are speculating that it was to avoid having the Ethics Committee release this report. While many in the House of Representatives began a public debate about releasing the report on a man who is now just a citizen, the report has allegedly been hacked and is now expected to be released in full in a near future date. In fact, many salacious details from the report are already being spread around by careless news media. So mind you, we are receiving unofficial details from an ethics report that has been unethically released about a private citizen, and these details have been investigated by the Department of Justice, with that DOJ choosing to not pursue criminal charges. But the public is supposed to hear the rumors that have not been proven in court and judge the person for the rumor. I guess that's where we stand. With all of that in mind, the allegations, they're not good. And while they may not rise to the level of criminal acts, or at least provable criminal acts, they do not tell the story of a Christian family man or that of a highly traditional individual. We will go through some aspects of these claims so that you can be informed of what is being alleged, but please realize that these accusations are adult in nature and they may not be appropriate for young ears. I'll give you a moment to react. And folks, here we go. Matt Gaetz was investigated for having relations with a 17-year-old, taking that 17-year-old across state lines in order to engage in these acts, or traveling across state lines and engaging in these acts, maybe not for the purpose of, and potentially exchanging money for these acts. This 17-year-old is not the only person that Gaetz is accused of exchanging money for relations, but the 17-year-old was the primary individual in the DOJ investigation due to her age and the age of consent in Florida being 18. The alleged story is that Gaetz was not aware of the age of this individual until after relations had taken place, and when he found out, he cut off relations until that individual reached the age of consent when they resumed. Other testimony ties Gaetz to parties where drugs may have been present and to other paid sexual encounters as well. Some news sites are quoting dollar amounts of what was paid out, but again, none of this has been confirmed or verified in any way. Now, what is also not confirmed is how the payment for these relationships took place. whether the sexual encounters were transactional or the relationship was more of that of a modern-day sugar daddy, a sexual partner who funded a lifestyle and received sexual benefits from the funding of that lifestyle. Regardless, the accusations obviously remove a level of morality and ethic that many would like to be associated with the head of the country's justice system. With all of this swirling around the pick, the threats of a hacked release of the Ethics Committee investigation, and many in an uproar about the possibility of this person getting the nod to be in the position, a key question has got to be asked. Why did the Department of Justice drop the case? After prosecuting cases that were loose and uncredible against many in the Trump sphere of influence, including Trump, why would this case not also move forward unless it could not, unless it was unprovable? What could cause this case to lose its Trump-hating momentum? Megyn Kelly discusses on The Megyn Kelly Show.
Ex-girlfriend, the 17-year-old, was among several women on a trip Gaetz allegedly took to the Bahamas in 2018 that has been of particular interest to the investigators. The 17-year-old at issue was also on that trip, though by that time she was already 18 or older. She's been a central witness in this investigation, but people familiar with the case say she is one of two people whose testimony has issues that veteran prosecutors feel would not pass muster with a jury. So the 17-year-old at the crux of all of this has been deemed not credible by the DOJ, by career prosecutors there. The other is a former friend of Gaetz's, Joel Greenberg. He's a former tax collector for Seminole County, Florida. You know, Gaetz is from sort of the panhandle area of Florida. He, Greenberg, pleaded guilty last year to sex trafficking of a minor and a host of other crimes as part of a cooperation deal with authorities. So this guy was on the hook criminally and then started talking about whom else he could give up to the authorities. Greenberg was first charged in 2020 with fabricating allegations and evidence to smear a political opponent. He made it up to hurt someone who is opposed to him in politics. That's what he was already charged with.
Two different witnesses, both uncredible and both at the center of this investigation. So uncredible that the Department of Justice dropped the case. But these two folks will also be at the center of the investigation that won't bring criminal charges. Instead, it's just going to be used to try and smear Gaetz's name from being in the contention to be Attorney General. An allegation and an investigation does not equate criminality. But the fact that the Department of Justice and investigations have already been used against Gaetz, well, it actually means that he is one of the people rearing to go to work for the American people and help tear down this apparatus that has been used to weaponize justice against American citizens. None of this is to say that Gaetz is a moral man or someone that we should aspire to be like. All of it paints a picture of a man who may have been wound up in the exact way to be the cutting instrument needed to help right the course in the United States of America. The Founding Fathers were also not without sins and foibles, and while they may have very different lives and foibles from what we're seeing with Gaetz, it may be that men who are deeply imperfect like Gaetz and Trump could help right the wrongs of the United States government. For now, I'm Austin Andrews, and I'll see you on the next report.